Hey guys. So apologize for not actually putting what I was going to talk about. I'm glad you guys all showed up thinking you were going to see unicorns. Maybe you will. A little bit about me. We have to go pretty quickly, of course, as we've done yesterday and today. I have almost 2 decades of experience in customer success, and I know that's kind of mind-blowing to think about, but I started in customer success with a company called Examine, where we called it account management. And then moved into WebEx, and although Salesforce said they started customer success, we were called customer success at WebEx way back when. And I helped scale that business up to 47,000 customers and the team that I was working with. And then moved into a whole bunch of other companies called like Hightail and Extol and Advent Software, and recently at Glassdoor. And so that, I think, qualifies me as kind of an expert. And an expert in particular in this topic because I have interviewed literally hundreds, if not thousands, of candidates. And candidates not just from a CSM perspective, but in sales and product, because it's my opinion, actually, that customer success deals with every single organization across the entire functions of what we do. So a little bit about Glassdoor, and I'm going to try and skip through this stuff pretty quickly. I have a lovely PR team, by the way, who likes to put slides in my deck. But it is relevant, and so I'll say that. Glassdoor's mission really is, if you guys don't know what Glassdoor does, to help people everywhere find jobs in a company they love. And quite honestly, that's the reason why I picked this particular topic to speak about, is because it is all about finding the right job for you. And I'll give you a little bit of background about Glassdoor. We were founded by 2 individuals, Rich Burton and Robert Horman, and those people met at Microsoft, and they founded Expedia. And you guys probably know what Expedia is, right? It's that organization that let us go past those individuals who are called travel agents and move into the flight industry and hotels and rental cars and other things, and expose a level of transparency into the rates that we were paying that we didn't have before. See the theme here? We're all about transparency. Well, Rich went into the real estate business after that and founded Zillow, another organization that allowed you to be transparent in the real estate market. While Robert took a little bit of time off, and then they got together about 7 years ago and founded Glassdoor on this idea that they wanted us as job seekers to be able to have a level of transparency in the companies that we were moving into. Before Glassdoor, the only way that we could do that is by knowing somebody who worked at the company, or knowing somebody who knew somebody who worked at the company, to look at what the leaders were like, what the culture was like, what the organization was like to be in, okay? Now Glassdoor has moved into this jobs market. And when I say jobs market, it is really about this fact that we have created this thing called the jobs aggregator. And the jobs aggregator literally pulls all the jobs off the web and puts them onto Glassdoor for us as job seekers to go after. Again, relevant from the perspective of, we have a whole bunch of CSM jobs out there on our site. But the interesting thing is that we have this search experience that allows you as a job seeker to go to our site, search for Customer Success Manager, and I'll tell you how many we had listed when I pulled this presentation, and then also go look at reviews and CEO ratings and salaries and interviews and benefits. Why do you care? Because it's all about the culture. And I'll tell you later why that's super important, okay? But when we think about that culture, what it has done in working for an organization like Glassdoor is have a bunch of people who work at Glassdoor who really do believe in what we do. We believe in this level of transparency. We really believe in the fact that Glassdoor is here to help people find the right jobs that make sense for them. I work on the employer side, not on the user side, so they're 2 different sides of our business. And these are the kind of traits of the individuals who work at Glassdoor in general. And some of those traits that I really love are passionate, authentic, and you heard the individual from Google this morning say scrappy. It's so funny, I was talking to a friend about this presentation. She said she hates the word scrappy. Reminds her of Scrappy-Doo from Scooby-Doo. I actually like scrappy because it means you're going to do anything you can to get it done. And that reminds me a lot of a CSM. It really does. And for me, courageous is huge from a CSM perspective. So as you can see, a lot of the things that we consider to be items that are personality traits from a Glassdoor perspective and things that we have integral to our culture are things that are CSM type categories. What we have defined our culture as, based upon those things, and people that we hire are this BYOD. Build your own desk. Kind of an interesting concept, huh? I've been at Glassdoor since December only, so we're at 3 months now. We have put in place a Dublin office since that time. Those Dubliners walked into an office that had a bunch of boxes in it. Those boxes were their desks. And that personifies the fact that they're expected to walk in and build their own stuff and start from the ground zero. And if you think about that from the customer success perspective, that really is what we do most of the time. You walk in and you're building your own practice, and you've seen that in many of the presentations that we have. You sometimes walk into an engagement lifecycle that's not right. I told my team when I walked in, because they said, did we build it wrong? I'm like, you didn't build it wrong. 80% of the organizations actually are built the way they're built based upon where your company is, and then you have to come in and figure out if that's the right way to build it. So this build your own desk kind of culture fits right in with customer success. All right, so let's get into the actual presentation itself. And I told you I would reference this number of customer success positions that were open. The great thing about working for a jobs aggregation company is that now you know how many customer success positions are open. I had my analyst on my team go in and pull this number. There were over 2,000 customer success manager jobs. I didn't look for customer service manager. I didn't look for client services manager. I didn't look for client success manager, relationship manager, or any of the other iterations of titles that we may hold. Customer success manager, posted on Glassdoor at the time I did this presentation a week and a half ago. 2,000. The vast majority of which, about 2/3, were actually here in the US. And so you see a whole bunch of names, companies for those. So what that leads me to believe is it's an employees market, which means that's our number one challenge as customer success professionals and leaders. Because similar to a sales kind of mentality, without butts in seats, we cannot get anything done. You can talk about customer life cycles, you can talk about retention rates and ROIs and anything you want. If you don't have people who work there that can do the job, forget it. None of it means anything. So what I start to say to people is, the easy answer is hire people who have customer success experience, who, in the lovely words of my friend over at Box, the SVP of customer success, John Herstein, who can deliver business value and, in his words, effing delight the customer. But the reality is, as I just told you, that there's a whole bunch of positions open, and if you go look at any research, the average customer success manager only has 1 to 3 years worth of experience, because it is that new of a profession. So don't give up on me yet, right? You've heard a whole bunch of people say that it is about actually the experience and the purpose, right? So it's experience, not customer success experience itself, but experience plus soft skills that make an excellent customer success manager. All right, so what does experience mean? What's the purpose of your customer success team and what do they serve in your organization? You've heard people say this. I had a friend in the audience here who's looking to get into customer success, and I'm trying to explain to him what that actually means. It's different for every single organization. And so how do you determine that? What's your company trying to do? Here's my favorite thing I've told my team members, a couple in here. My first interview question from the founder of Glassdoor was, he said to me, how do you comp your CSMs? I said, Robert, what are you trying to do? And he said, well, I comp them on renewal. And I said, you answered your own question. But what are you trying to do at Glassdoor? And he said, I'm trying to grow. And I said, you're comping them on renewals, but you're trying to grow. Do you not understand what you're doing to them? You're causing them to be bipolar. If you're trying to grow, you can comp them on growth. And you can hire people who have come from a growth background if that's the case. So if you think about it from that perspective, now you have an infinite pool of people that you can work with that don't have to come from a relationship management background. So here are some other questions that you can think about. What are the major problems that you're facing? If retention is one of your problems, you probably need someone who has a relationship management background, consultants, service planners, those kind of people. If you have a problem about, you're not being reactive enough to your customers, you can pull someone from support. If your customer is more technical in nature, if your services are more customized, you can pull someone from technical support. If you need more adoption, it could be a trainer. So the answer really is that you can pull people from anywhere. They don't have to be from customer success. Make sense? All right. So let's talk a little bit about what has happened in the industry just to kind of validate what I just said. In 2013, and I'm using Tatango's own surveys, 2013 there was nothing in their customer success salary survey that said anything about where CSM backgrounds were from. 2014, they said 17% were from sales and 19% were from account management and support services. Look at what happened in 2015. 95% of CSMs who were responding to this said they were from professions other than customer success. Kind of crazy how much has changed. All right, Mr. Einstein, brilliant man. Let's talk about the actual soft skills required to do this job. Harvard did a study with Stanford and Carnegie that said 85% of the skills that you need to be successful are actually soft skills and people skills, not the experience. Looks like he agreed with them. Imagination is much more important than knowledge. So before we get into the actual soft skills required, let's talk about soft-ish skills. We all know that you must have customer DNA at your core, that you need to be able to stand in the shoes of your customer and understand what they're going through. That's the first thing, right? So whether you're from sales background or you're from consulting, you have to be able to empathize with them. The other thing, and the reason why I had all this stuff about Glassdoor, and the reason why the Google talk this morning, as well as the LinkedIn talk this morning were important, is that you have to align with the purpose of your company. You have to believe in what they do. I've got another colleague who's in the audience here today, and I warned him I was going to say this. My last company was in financial services. I don't like the stock market. I don't know why I did that. Probably because I believed enough in customer success, that I loved it enough that I thought I could put it in any particular market. I didn't. Okay? I believe in Glassdoor and I believe in what we're doing. It's easy to align when you believe in what you're doing. The other thing is you have to fit in the company culture. At Glassdoor, we are a roll your sleeves up, get that stuff done kind of place. If it wasn't that kind of place, it wouldn't be right for me. Okay? All right, so I'm gonna go really fast because my clock is ticking. A couple of soft skill categories. The first of which is functionality. And that means the kind of job skills that you can take from one place to the other. Killer CSMs really are project managers, if you think about it. They're the people who can guide a customer through a life cycle. Life cycle is nothing but a project. Adoption is nothing but a project. They are also amazing task and time managers. I have had CSMs who have had one customer because that customer has had 50 contacts and gazillion lines of business, and I have had CSMs, no joke, who have had 1,800 customers. It is all about how you manage your time. CSMs are also excellent communicators, not just in speaking and writing, but in listening. If you cannot listen to your customer and truly understand and hear what they say, you're dead in the water. The other thing that CSMs need to be able to do is to analyze data. And I was just having this conversation. Many CSMs who have been in the business for a long time start as what I call the squishy heart people. I want to empathize so much that I want to just make them happy. The reality is that happiness doesn't pay the bills. Success does. And the only way that you can reach a successful level is if you can quantify it. Here's my favorite example of this. Macy's is on fire, Macy's is broken. I don't care what organization you're in if Macy's is your customer. Everybody knows Macy's name. It's a big enough company. I go to product, I say Macy's is on fire, it's broken. Product will say, okay, fine, Macy's is broken, but I can't move the product. Now if I go back and I say Macy's plus all these other ones to the tune of $5 million are at risk, plus this much opportunity, which is $3 million, and now I can go back to say $8 million is either at risk or an opportunity that's at risk as a result of the fact that this is broken. Can you now go fix it? Now suddenly people listen. You've got to be able to quantify that stuff. You've got to move past the gut-wrenching, fire, squishy heart kind of mentality. Okay? All right, you guys know who this is? Elon Musk, right? There's a certain bit of personality that you have to hire too, and everyone wants to hire someone like Elon. but unfortunately, Elon's not available. So we hire traits like Elon. You have to hire someone who has an entrepreneurial mindset. And for me, that means has a sense of ownership. I literally say to my managers, and hopefully they say to our CSMs, you own your book of business. Go work with your book of business like it is your own little company. When I come back to you, I'm going to help you set your goals, but the reality is that's your company. You are accountable within that company. That's his kind of mindset, okay? You work super hard. You have a love and a hunger for learning, especially in this particular position, because customer success has changed so much over the years. It's kind of crazy to see where I started almost 20 years ago and now where I am. To see that we have customer marketing managers and operations insights team, and I was at the Chief Customer Officer Summit about a month ago, and now we have customer success architects. Did you guys hear this? It's kind of crazy. You have to continue to learn. You have to learn when you move into a new company what that project is all about and why it's meaningful to your customer. So you have to invest in that. You have to invest in yourself. I can tell you what you need to learn, but I can't make you learn it. So you've got to go and look for those opportunities. You have to be a collaborative team player because customer success is the voice of the customer. And honestly, every single thing that the company does affects the customer, whether it's finance, marketing, product, engineering, sales. Every single one of those individuals on those teams can affect your customer. And you have to be excited or excitable. You have to really care. You have to care about the customer and you have to care about the product. Last thing I'm going to say about this is you have to be non or apolitical and you have to be thick-skinned. Because the reality is that you have to be able to stand in front of people and say the things they don't want to hear. And sometimes it's the customer you have to say the things they don't want to hear too. Because oftentimes they want you to go build stuff that it doesn't make sense. One of my customers at our best places to work, Tom Gibble at LaSalle Networks, said that to us in our conference a couple weeks ago. You have to be able to like that person. If you don't like the person you're hiring, why are you hiring them? I used to say I had to respect them, but the reality is you do have to like them. You have to work with them. You have to understand them. And so if you couldn't sit with them for 4 hours on a plane, forget it. It's not worth it hiring them. And don't lose heart. There's your unicorn. They really are out there.